Gonna run off these copies. You what? You doing English, Eleanor?
I can do both.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah. Just need to get tickets for the people.
Temos umas outras vibes, né? זה גם בדיוק כמובן, זה היה בדיוק. לפני כמה שנים.
How are you? I'm Shimon.
You have Nachman, yeah? Yeah, okay.
Do you have one other card?
For you, brother? 100%. The only thing is, you have to move there because Rabbi Zella is sitting here. No, for my part, I'd be overjoyed to have you sitting next to me.
So sit here.
Hey, Shimon, you know, you forgot my guitar yesterday. Yeah. Yeah. Why?
I think
Edna called up and either that she has it.
she has it.
Yeah.
That guy went back in and it wasn't there. I said, so?
Whose guitar is this?
David.
Okay, that's David. Hey, woman, what's happening?
No.
They are the cutest ever in this world.
Yes, let me, I'm gonna go to my office right now and get them.
They don't do.
Yeah.
You got the guitar yesterday over there.
Who forgot?
You know, but anyway, so have you.
People, if they can't.
Listen to Mom, when you talk to Lucy, but I'm also trying my utmost to find her in Beverly. You know, I think he has the wrong number. Give it to me, Mom, if you can. I made up this thing, the first sukkahs in the house of love and prayer was in the humble year. The first time we had a sukkah, the open house 66 was that year sukkahs. I was not in the house. 67 was right after 64. We had a Gewalt sukkah, it was awesome. So I made up a thing, I didn't know the words, so I thought, it's a show. Okay. Oh, it's a show. Yamini, Yase, Sholai, Sholai Aleinu, Aviyakov, Al Good old days. Okay, first of all, let me learn just a few minutes from Nachman, don't ask me any questions. And second, the most important thing today, I don't want to get political, because then we can fight each other.
We already learned
You know how many people, the biggest reason for fighting is peace, right? Because everyone says, "Listen, I want peace, you don't want peace, come on, I have to knock you off," right?
Like the names that were told when they were gone.
Yeah, that's it. And even before I begin, let me tell you something which is very important to know. There's a Torah from Rabbi Nachman. Can you put it on the other side? Can you listen? Is it recording?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an unbelievable Torah from Rabbi Nachman. I mean from Tzedek Kohen. You know, the Holy Temple was destroyed twice. The Holy Temple is a micro world, right? Even more than that, essentially. You know, there's a little, in the watch, there are a lot of little wheels. But then there's one wheel, the inside wheel, right? Which turns everything. If that little wheel doesn't work, I say, listen, who cares? This is the smallest part of the watch, right? Everything else is working. So why isn't the watch working? It's the same, you know, the Holy Temple is this wheel, the inside wheel of the world. And the fact, sadly enough, brokenly enough, that the Holy Temple is destroyed, that means that little wheel inside is not working properly. So the Holy Temple was destroyed twice. That means the world, the existence of the world has two enemies. There are two kinds of evil who want to destroy the world. The first time the Holy Temple was destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar basically was a very honest person, because he said, I'm a rapist, I'm a killer, and he made it very clear, he comes to rape all the women and to kill all the men. That's it. He was mamish open. A gewalt, right? Never met a more honest person in my life, right? So this took only 70 years to fix. Because the evil which comes to you, and says, I'm evil, I want to destroy you, is not so hard to get over with. The second time was destroyed by Rome. Rome were worse than Nebuchadnezzar. Less human, more perverted, and more crazy. But they came in the name of civilization. You know, Rome came to bring civilization. Oh, this is terrible. The moment you put on yourself the paint of something good, when you're rotten to the core. You see, with Nebuchadnezzar, to make peace is not so hard. One way or the other, we can put limits to each other. When someone says to you, listen, Mamash, I love you. Gewalt, I love you. Okay, I have a little knife in my hand that's right on your back, but just formality, right? That's the worst, right? So right now we're getting closer to the rebuilding of the Holy Temple. And everything is painted, right? You know, there's a passage in the Psalms, David the Melech says, Hey, Miss Kangaroo is coming. It says, David Melech says, Ani Sholem, I am peace. But when I begin talking to them, then I realize, hey, Malam Mechoma, they want war. They talk peace, but they mean war. But today I don't want to get involved in peace between nations. Right now, just learn from Nachman, it looks like peace from one human being to the other. Because the craziest thing in the world is that, where do we have come Nachman here?
You want just the plain?
You see here, brother? House of love and prayer. Not to be believed. You know, when I had this Sefer with me, there was a big yoga conference in Geneva from all the yoga teachers of the world. Anyway. Okay, now, before we begin, we have to begin. How much of a God revelation is that we can send a missile to the moon? So God revelation, right? That means that we human beings, God gave us so much seichel, not to be believed, right? Let's say the world began with, I don't know who was the first person who discovered you can sit on a horse and go faster. But whoever it was a Gewalt revelation, right? Now we can take a missile and go to the moon. This is a high revelation, right? But you know what one Rebbe said, it's easier to go to the moon than to reach another human being. Because the moon has no resistance. I'm sure the moon had a big sign, Shalom Aleichem. When they left, he definitely said, Seis from the Shalom. But, you know what it is? Peace is not a revelation of this world. Peace is a heavenly revelation. It means peace is, we're just beyond borders. Where does hatred come from? I'm limited. I say, I'm a Jew, I'm from. You have to wake up every morning 6 to say Krishma Bismana. Your tzitzis have to be kofel shmona. All this. And you don't have it, you're off. Right? What is peace? It's that there's no walls, right? No walls are not in this world. No walls are only in heaven. Heavenly, right? You know, sometimes you meet a person that's very cute and sweet, but they have so many walls and so many gates, you're afraid when you go in there, you'll never get out. But then the people have no walls, right? I'm going to tell you something unbelievable. Imagine I will tell, like we have a few people here, I will tell, what's here, Shlomo the Gamkin, right? I'll say, listen, Shlomo, I want you to tell all your secrets to David, Chief Rabbi David Zala. So, what would be your reaction? Okay, David happens to be a Gewalt Yid, but he would say, listen, you know, I don't know him, right? Have you ever heard anybody coming to the Holy Baal Shem and say, you know, I can't really talk to him, I don't know him? Why not? Because the Baal Shem had no walls, right? You see, even saying, I know you and I don't know you is already like saying this yes and this no, right? I mean, the Rabbi you know how many thousands of people, and he talks to them for hours. Nobody ever said, you know, I couldn't talk to him, I don't know the guy, you know. I told you, I walk on Eastern Parkway, in the good old days, and so he says to me, where are you going? I says, I go to the Rabbi. He says, I know the guy, you know. Not so simple, right? Okay, it happens where David really has no walls, so you could talk to him. Where do we get the strength not to have walls? Not to have walls has to come from heaven, right? And I don't mean heaven, heaven, heaven. You know, remember what Rabbi Chenuch says, Shemaim, Shemaim, L'Shem. Heaven is heaven because of God. The earth and the earth, and the earth he gave to mankind. So he said, not the earth he gave to mankind. Heaven is heaven because God made it heaven. But the earth and the earth, to make heaven of the earth, this is not only this God gave to us. This is our mission, to make heaven of this world. It's a good Torah to remember, right? So how do we make heaven in this world? This is why God gave us the Torah. The Torah is heavenly, right? Remember, the Gemara says, until God gave us the Torah on Mount Sinai, heaven and earth never met. Up and down never met. Good and bad never met. When God came down on Mount Sinai and gave us the Torah, the walls between heaven and earth stopped. And something else. What is pride? Pride is, I have 5 PhDs, you have nothing. I speak 7 languages and you probably don't even know one properly. I'm rich, you're poor. This is all borders and gates. What's a humble person? And you know what, you know something very deep? In Chassidus, in Kabbalah, humble doesn't mean you can spit at me and say, thank you so much. I just was afraid to take a shower now, but you spit on me, you know, I have to. Humble means I know exactly who I am. I know who you are. And I know that God gives everybody certain talents. I want you to know something I was telling you yesterday. Someone said to, I'm not sure it was Kotzker the Walker, he was very poor, he says, how can you, the Heilige Radishitzer, Rabbi Radishitzer, was Mama's the biggest schlepper of them all, before he became a rabbi. It's a long story. Someone says to him, how can you say every morning that God gives me all my needs? And he doesn't give you anything. He says, obviously God knows that I need poverty now to fix my neshama. So Baruch Hashem, he gave it to me, right? I've only to add the work at Torah. Someone says, also the Radishitzer made with the work. He says, aren't you ashamed to be so poor? He says, why, did I steal it from somebody? You see what it is? Another means that I believe that God gives everybody in this world what they need for the fixing of their neshama. That means in this lifetime, I need certain things, and God gives it to me. You see, God gives always the vessels to what we need to do. Remember, we're learning it 1,000 times. It's not because there's a 747 that we can reach Paris in 4 hours. It's because I have to reach Paris in 4 hours, God gives me a 747. It's because we have to meet so many people in our lifetime. We would have to go with the buggy and the little horse, we'll never get there, right? We have to meet so many people in this lifetime. So first of all, Nachman says, in order to bring peace, you have to be humble. And I don't mean this stupid humility, like I think I shared with you, someone told me a good definition, what's a humble person? He's standing in the post office in New York on 34th Street, his tongue is hanging out, and he has a big sign, please let me have the privilege of licking your stamp, you know? I don't want to say anything bad, but you know, by the world, humble means you give up everything, you walk on the street, and go on. Let me ask something. What do you think? Moshe Rabbeinu was rich or poor? Moshe Rabbeinu spoke to God, right? Must have been mamish, the poor leper. I'm sure he never had a whole shirt, and I'm sure, who knows what. Gewalt, right? Moshe Rabbeinu was one of the richest people in the world. Avraham was the richest in his time. Yitzchak in his time. Yaakov Avinu was the richest man ever in the world. Ever. We don't have the faintest idea how rich Yaakov Avinu was, right? Yosef Tzaddik, right? Not even a joke, right? Yosef Tzaddik, right? But therefore, it didn't make borders, right? So the first thing is, and this is it, the Torah is not even given to you when you're so proud. Because it's possible to learn Torah day and night, and every word you say just confirms that you are something. I can learn Torah. Let's say we're here now, we're learning Rabbi Nachman. I walk out in the street. The first kid I meet, I say, listen, brother, how dare you talking to me? I just learned Rabbi Nachman for 2 hours, and I'm really in a very high state of mind. Then it wasn't Torah. Then it wasn't from heaven. Torah from heaven is, the more I learn, the more it opens my heart. What is peace? You know what peace is? Peace is like Kfitza Sadeh. Like, what happens to me when I'm angry at someone, when I'm an enemy with someone? The distance between me and that person is awesome, right? Physically a person can sit next to me, but Gewalt, if you're not peaceful with each other, it's further than from here to the moon, right? So, you know what it is? Today, forget about today or yesterday, there's so much going on to do tshuva. What's tshuva? Yesterday, between me and Yiddishkeit was a long distance. And today, I'm not so far anymore. Right? Something happens to the world. We're getting closer. Right? Imagine, maybe until yesterday he didn't even know he's a Jew, right? Suddenly he finds out, and he is already learning like crazy. So he had Emsek Kfitza Sadeh. Mamash, he jumped over hills, over mountains, and he got there. Then Rabbi Nachman says, what is the biggest Kiddush Hashem? What is the biggest sanctification of God's name? The biggest sanctification of God's name, if I can give over to people that there is no distance between you and God. That there is no distance between you and the Torah. It is so deep, Sometimes you walk into a house and they're the husband and wife. They're sweet, they're cute and everything, but you can see they need a travel agency to talk to each other, right? And sometimes it's the husband and wife, there's absolutely no distance. Or sometimes you see children. Today, most young people need a heavenly travel agency to talk to their parents. I think I told you once on Tish B'Av, on the House of Love and Prayer, we're talking about the saddest day of the year. So one young lady got up and she says, for me, the Tish B'Av of the year is Thanksgiving. Because on Thanksgiving I have to go home and meet my parents. Heartbreaking, right? It's her private Tish B'Av. So Nachman says, in order to have this heavenliness like the tzaddikim have, right? In order to have this heavenliness of the Torah, you have to be really humble. Humble means to know, to be clear on it. God gives me what I need, and even talent-wise, or money-wise, or everything-wise, and God gives you exactly what you need. Listen, imagine there's the king, and he says to me, I want you to buy me a car. He gives me $10,000. Then he says to someone else, get me ice cream, and gives them $1. I would say, I'm better than you. I'm not better than you. But he has only to bring ice cream, he needs $1. I have to bring a car, I need 10,000. The Russian gives you whatever you need in order to do what you have to do in this world. So what it is, if I have no distance between me and people, if I have no distance between me and the Torah, then what I shine into people, that there's no distance between you and God. Gewalt, It's so deep. Nachman says there's no peace in the world because people deep inside feel so far away from God. And they feel so far away from each other. And peace is to cut through the long distance. This is what peace is all about. Obviously I don't even want to say it, but the word peace means you don't kill each other. Who talks about that? We're talking now about closeness between people. Rabbi Nachman says an unbelievable word here. V'nishlo ma'yir. There's two kinds of fearing God. If I'm very distant from God, I know there's one God, then my fear is really God forbid, will punish me. How close do I feel to a policeman when it comes to arrest me? He's standing right on top of me, I don't feel close to him. So why am I afraid of God? He'll punish me because I'm not close to him. If I'm close, then the real fear of God is not fear. The real year is this awesome God awareness. You know what the Baal Shem Tov says? What does it mean, I fear God? This is really a beautiful term of the Baal Shem. It's good to remember. To fear God means I'm so afraid that I will do something and suddenly God will be far away from me. I love this girl very much, but I'm so careful when I talk to her because I don't want to ever say anything which will break up our relationship. If I don't love her that much, I don't give a damn, right? This is so deep what he says. You know what it is like? Imagine a person comes and wants to become a Jew right there. A big issue today. The question is, the person they're talking to, how close do you make them feel that they're to God? How close do you make them feel that they're to Yiddishkeit? Then Rabbi Nachman says there's two kinds of peace. Because the first thing is, Rabbi Nachman calls it shlomo b'tzumah, there has to be peace in your bones. Unbelievable. You know what it is? Anything which is real, I can mamish feel it in my bones, right? Meaning to say, if my bones don't feel it, it's not for real. Head stuff I don't buy. I feel it in my soul. The question is always, like all the rabbis would say, do your toes feel it? So the first thing is, are you torn apart inside? Are you schizophrenic and even holy schizophrenic? I'm holy schizophrenic because I want to be so firm and I'm not yet. Even that is not good. Even that is bad. Even just thinking that this is one thing, the most important thing. Ramodana Chernobyl says, what is a pagan? This is mamish awesome. Ramodana Chernobyl says a pagan is somebody who does the most awesome affair in the world. And after that, it's time to daven mincha. You still have to daven mincha, right? And he davens mincha thinking, God doesn't listen to me. And what is a yid, an emes yid? He says, I can do the worst of error. And after that, I mamash daven Yom Kippur Shmoneh. Because it's clear to me that they have not. Sure, I shouldn't have done it, but there's nothing to do with my relationship to God. Because if God tells me to do certain things or not to, it's not because God wants to make it hard on you, or God wants you to listen to Him. It's for your good. For your good. But it's even deeper than this, So he says, the Gemara says that Adam was driven out from paradise because he was a pagan. Adam Rishon was created by God, and how can you say he was a pagan? So Ramodana Chernobyl says because he thought that after he does something wrong, he's not so close anymore. But the real, you see what Avraham Avinu is all about? Here I want you, mamash, really open your hearts. What did Avraham Avinu bring down when he prayed for Sodom? Why was Noah, what's B'nai Noah? The children of Noah, but they're not Yid. Avraham Avinu is a Yid. Noah, when God told him, I have to destroy Sodom, you know what is, the people of the flood, why? They're so far gone, I can't reach them anymore. You mean there's a distance? It's paganism. You know what Avraham Avinu says? The most perverted, most disgusting creeps in Sodom and Gomorrah. Just give me 50 tzaddikim and I will show them that there's no distance. You see, sad enough, and a lot of people they call doing tshuva is that you have to sit there and keep a diary of all your sins and then go over it and just, like the Rabbi says, drown yourself, bathe in the mud, right? Right? Sit there and think, I did this, I did this, I did this. Real tshuva is just to realize I'm mamish there. I'm mamish there. So the first thing he says, there has to be peace in my own bones. The peace is, and this is what it is, you know what really, when you do something wrong, you know what the greatest punishment is? That you feel a stranger to God. Sad enough. And you know what Rabbi Nachman says in another place? When I do something wrong, I'm not only feeling like a stranger to God, I suddenly feel like a stranger to all the people I love. It's awesome, right? There are days I make a few mistakes, I'm coming home and suddenly I don't feel so close to my children. I made a mistake. Right? You know, Rav Nachman says, Mamash, I shared it with you, but it's a good Torah to remember. Yosef Tzaddik was not angry with his brothers, right? That's Shabbos Vayigash. He sees his brothers, and he should call them, you tell them the dirtiest, filthiest name, you're disgusting, you sell your brother, what's going on with you? Yosef Tzaddik says, I'm your brother Yosef, and please don't be sad that you sold me, because you did the best thing in the world, right? Verses. Yeah. So Nachman says the deepest story in the world. If Yosef would have done something wrong with the wife of Potiphar, he would have not had the strength not to be angry with his brothers. He would have been so far away from him. It's awesome, right? But because he didn't do anything wrong. Have you ever noticed little babies? They don't feel far from anybody. Every little boy or girl, anybody talks to them, will tell you about everything, all their secrets. Because they feel so close to you. They don't even know that there is such a thing as not being their best friend. I remember at one point when my sister's little boy, Yisroliku, was in my shul. He was 3 years old. He was like, still the cutest. Not as cute as Amuna's children, but really cute. And he's coming to my shul, and everyone says, the rabbi's grandson, And he went to every person's shul, told them everything which ever happened since he was born. Sometimes he remembered it. And he could not imagine that there is somebody who's not interested, Because how could you not, right? Someone says to me, you have to teach him that people are not interested. I say, Chas v'shalom, I never tell him that. That's the end, right? But this is what we adults all about. And then we meet someone who really wants to know, and we don't tell them anymore. Because we are so afraid to open our mouths. Also something else. Most of us are afraid to talk to ourselves because I'm afraid to hear what I will tell myself back. Well, something awesome. The Heilige Rabbi Mendel, the son of Moshe Lelever, the son of the Heilige of David Lelever, son was a Gewalt Rebbe. He would go every day to the Holy Wall, and the only day he would not go was on Tisha B'Av, remember? So the Chassidim asked him, Rebbe, on Tisha B'Av, and all of Israel is going, why don't you go? So he says, I'll tell you. Every morning when it's come to the Holy Wall to daven, I say to the Holy Wall, good morning. I can hear the Holy Wall sing back to me, good morning. On Shabbos, I say, good Shabbos. I can hear the Holy Wall saying back to me, good Shabbos. But if I would tell the Holy Wall on Tisha B'Av what I want to tell the Holy Wall, and then I would hear the Holy Wall answering me back, I wouldn't be able to live anymore. So I'm not going. It's a Gewalt. Remember it? Yeah. Awesome. So you see what it is? Most people are strangers to their own neshama. Because all our mistakes coming as simple as it is because we are so far from ourselves. No, it's so easy, Let me ask you, would you give up $1 million for $5? Imagine that the person wants to give you $1 million. but he owes you 5. Are you going to fight about the 5 and take a chance of losing the $1 million? You wouldn't, right? You know, sometimes husband and wife, parents and children, we fight over $5 and we're losing out on the $1 million. Because what happens if husband and wife become strangers, children? It's not worth it. And you see, this is the deepest depths. As long as you are not close to yourself, close to God, you don't know what it is to daven. You know what davening is? Remember, we're learning it a lot of times. I go to Rothschild, I tell him, listen, brother Rothschild, I read in the Jewish press, you're giving a lot of money. I would like to build a yeshiva, brother Mickey, brother David, Mimi, brother me, humble me, brother H. I would like to have $2 million. He would say, okay, I heard good things about your car, I'll give you $2 million. And I walk out and say, listen, by the way, yesterday, I did something, my muscles yesterday, it's gone. I tell him, I have some trouble with my back, cannot bend down. Would you mind, putting on my shoes for me? I said, okay, just tie them. He'll throw me out. What a chutzpah. So I said, listen, $2 million is more than tying the shoes, right? Why is it they can ask you for $2 million and I cannot ask you for tie my shoes? Because to tie my shoes have to be very close. Have to be very close. And now listen to what all the Rabbis say. Torah Moshe Rabbeinu gave us. Davening, Mashiach will teach us. We haven't learned yet how to daven. And if you remember the Torah from all the Rabbis, Mashiach means the anointed, but also comes from the word l'suach, to pour out your heart, to talk. So when Mashiach is coming, why was Yerushalayim, why was the Holy Temple destroyed? It says, Kibesi beis tefillah yekol chol ha'amim. My house is a house of prayers to all nations. You know what that means? Here you feel close to God. And if you feel close to God, hopefully you feel close to every human being. Close. And suddenly, what happened to us, sadly enough, because we hated each other, we weren't close to each other, so we lost the closeness of davening. It's awesome. It's really not to be believed. It means if you're not really close to people, you don't know how to daven. I don't want to say anything bad, but imagine today, any person who is hired as a chazan, and you would first go to their houses and find out how do they talk to their wife and their children, right? If they talk to them. Meaning if you're not very close, you cannot be a chazan. Because you're not the one to bring our prayers before God. And then he says, if you have peace for yourself, and there's peace between you and God, then you are the one to bring peace to the whole universe. There's really something else. Sholem HaKlolim. Nachman always talks about private peace and world peace. And you see the Holy Temple, there's a Mikdash, gewalt. Then he says, those people who try to fix the generation. And they tell them what is wrong, but also they tell them in such a way, Rabbi Kiva says, I don't know if anybody really knows how to tell another person when they do wrong. You know why? Because if you tell them too much, you destroy them. If you tell them too little, then you're lying because it was more than that. Very delicate. Okay, let's make a step for 1 second. Anybody want to say something fast? Anything? Rabbi, you want to say something?
Rabbi requests the Kohanim in the Washington piece.
I'm sorry, what?
Rabbi requests the Kohanim
Yeah,
in the Washington piece.
yeah. Pretty good, yeah. That's a good time, what you say. Why did the Nevi'im have to wash their hands of the Kohanim? Because basically the Nevi'im might be jealous of the Kohanim, same tribe. Why were you chosen, not us? And when you're jealous, you really feel far away. Very far. So the Nevi'im were washing the hands of the Kohanim. They were so glad. They're so glad that you're so holy. We were learning it last night, the Rishon Torah. What is the highest level in serving God? The highest level of serving God is being happy that somebody else is serving God. Wow, that's awesome. Listen, if I'm the biggest tzaddik, there's a picture of me in Jewish press saying I'm the biggest Rebbe, why not? Didn't have to pay so much for it, you know. It was an open weekend. But to see another Yid. Remember on Chanukah when we initiate the third temple? Is it this when we make a bracha of somebody else's Chanukah light? Because I'm so glad that another Yid is holy. I wonder from Simon, did someone learn us in this morning?
Yeah. Oh, we went through Dalit, just of this.
Good.
Before we read the subject of the Levim and Kohanim,
Yeah.
being anointed, they sanctify the Kohanim. They put a drop of blood here and a hand on the head. And I've always wondered, why is it in those places? And what comes to me from what you are saying is that the whole story of Cain and Abel. God says, his blood was crying to me from the ground. You're telling me you don't know what happened? I can hear it. How come you don't know what you did? And the drop of blood here is a reminder of that whole thing. I am my brother's keeper. And the drop of blood here on the thumb is when they find a dead person near a city and people have to go and they say, I have blood on my hands. So it's like, I do have a drop of blood on my hands. If anyone dies in the world, if anyone is killed alone, it is the Kohanim, like you always say, the greatest thing a person can do for another person is to still listen. The Kohanim is taking the responsibility of hearing, of doing, of walking. They're taking the whole burden on themselves. And the Levim are participating in this with them. This is the sanctification. Are you willing to take it? Wow.
It's a good time, Alan.
What a moment.
Well, you see what it is? Not everybody is saying such good Torahs like you, but on a simple level, is, like, the Kohanim are the people, when people do something wrong, they come to the Kohanim and tell them, right? Because the Kohanim bring the sacrifice. So the Kohen says, why are you bringing the sacrifice, right? So let's say he says, oh, listen, I'm sorry, I didn't keep Shabbos. I'm sorry I ate ham, right? I'm sorry I swore by God's name, right? So you have to pour out your heart, right? So if you hear just the words, then you don't hear them properly, right? But when you feel nebuch, how much blood is flowing from the heart while he's telling it to you, then you're a good kohen, right? Different hearing, right? And also, hands. Like the kohenim, everything is with their hands, But basically what they're doing is to exchange the blood of the animal for the blood of the person, right? Meaning to say, I'll do anything in the world to keep you alive. And also something very, very deep, when a person does wrong, it weighs so heavy on them, And Rabbi Nachman says, the heaviest thing in the world is a mistake. Not 1,000 pounds or 10,000 pounds. Mistake, I can't carry it. How do I know I can't carry it? Because it stops me from moving. Stand still, right? Just falling down to the ground and I can't. There's an unbelievable term of Rabbi Nachman that says, when you see the donkey of your enemy lying under his
burden.
Under his burden, you have to help him. So he says, obviously we're talking here about another person, right? Then my donkey, my stupidity, is lying under my burden. I can't move, right? I think I did so much wrong, I can't move anymore. Then they take off their burden and fast, right? So this is what the coin is doing, right? Playing with life. But Utah is still better, but anyways. Everything is good. Okay, let's learn Dalet. Dalet we'll learn later on. Oh, you were learning with them inside, yeah? Why?
Well, we were learning the
More or less, yeah.
the front door.
Gut, Mom, Stoben hier gebaut. Okay, the first thing is carlebach shalom. You have to search for peace. Sheyeh shalom ben Yisrael. Miskavah, right? Imagine if you would put as much energy as he put into making us peace between us and other nations. If you would put that much energy into bringing peace among Yidden, what a country we would have, right?
So we're on number 6, Vav.
I'm sorry, yeah. Here. Sheyeh shalom ben l'chol odem b'midaisa. And also this is very important, Imagine you meet a very person, his mom is so good and so sweet, but then there is one thing, they can't stop yelling, they can't stop being angry. That means their anger, there's a fight between their anger and the rest of them. Just doesn't fit, right? Doesn't fit. It's a different thing. Have you met people, they're so sweet, and suddenly you step on their toe, and you don't recognize them anymore. And we're not even talking about crazy people from another planet. Every person has something unfixed in their heart or in their life, which doesn't fit for them. All of us have that. And this is a good Torah to remember. It's a Torah from the Word Shem. Why do we eat the third meal when it's dark? Friday night, it would be dark, it's disturbing. Friday night you need light, right? Shalashudis, the more light there is, the more it's disturbing. And you have the feeling, Shalashudis, I want it to be dark. So the Word Shem Tov says, because here I ate 2 meals of Shabbos, I had Shabbos 23 hours, and I realized, Gewalt Rabbi Shalom, Shabbos hasn't reached my dark side yet. There was still something dark in my heart which isn't fixed yet. evolve. Right? So we each on the shooters in darkness, and you see what the deepest part of it is. What's the dark part of me? I'm afraid that if someone would see it, they won't love me anymore. So everybody knows by Chassidim, by Rabbi shooters was even more loved by the people than even Friday night. Because the deepest friendship is, I know there's something wrong with you, but so I love you more. You know, I go to a doctor and I say, listen, everything is okay. It's okay, thank you very much for the visit. I tell the doctor, oh, you're vague about am I sick like a dog? Oh, the doctor begins to love me, right? It's a good customer. Okay. The first thing is you have to make peace among Yidden. Then you have to make peace between the person and their emotions. Then once you know, Rabbi Scott says it's easier to finish the whole Talmud 7 times and to fix one emotion. One emotion. You know, like, I don't want to say anything bad. I have seen, I'm sure you too, I've seen people, I'm sitting with them, and their children walk in and their eyes are blank. The person comes in and brings chicken soup, their eyes glow. You know what that means? They don't know what to love. Their loving is completely off-center. And then you know what it is? A person has to be prepared, not only for the moment, especially when it comes to emotions. You don't fix your emotion while it's happening. It's too late. You have to fix it before, right? I'll tell you something. Everybody knows I'm crazy about Begin and Axe, you know this. You just say the word B, I'm already crazy, right? And I hope you'll say the word bagel, right? I just saw a stupid movie my kids were turning on television. It's always crazy. About 2 sisters, they function normally. You would think they're normal, right? But you have a feeling something wrong. And then one night they talk to each other. They're crazy about chocolate. Right? I mean, the whole movie was stupid. But, you know, it was so deep on one hand. You think you're talking to a normal person, and then when they see chocolate, their mama should become crazy. Mamish, they lose their mind. So you don't fix it at the moment. The fixing of it is long before. You remember the Ishbita says, to fix anger is not while you're angry. When you're angry, you better get it out of your system, because otherwise you get sick. That means I need completely different orientation. I have to fix my inside. Okay, imagine I'm stingy like a dog. And I walk on the street and I see a poor man dying. And I don't want to give him any money. It's too late now to fix it. I'm stingy, I don't care. When do you have to start fixing it? Long before. You know you're stingy? Begin fixing it. You know what the Rambam says? Imagine, God forbid, I realize that I'm real stingy. So I have $1,000 to give out. The question is, should I give out $1,000 in one time to a poor man? Or should I change $1,000 into, let's say, $50 bills or $1 bill and put my hands 1,000 times in my pocket and give it out? If you know you're stingy, better give out dollar bills. You know the famous story of Noam Chernobyl? Someone gave him $10,000, 10,000 rubles. And what was the story there? Well, obviously he didn't take it for himself. So at that point, a Yid comes to him and says, Rebbe, Mamish, my daughter is getting married, I don't have a single penny, if you give me some money. Remember the story? No. No, it was 1,000 rubles. The poor man comes and says, please give me, I need 1,000 rubles. So Ram Nochem gave it to him right away, obviously. So Ram Nochem told the story after that. I heard it from the older Babich Rebbe. He says, when this person comes to me and he says, give me the 1,000 rubles, suddenly Brother Satan came to me and he says, hey, why should you give $1,000 to one person? The Rambam says that you should change it and give 1,001 rubles to 1,000 poor people. So he says, you know what I said to Brother Satan? Why didn't you tell me this when I got the 1,000 rubles, right? As long as I wanted to keep the 1,000 rubles for myself, he didn't say a word. Now, suddenly, when I give it to somebody else, you can't bring me a Torah, I should change it and give 1,000 rubles to 1,000 people. You know what it is? A person always has to know a little bit who is talking to me. Is it that part of me which wants me to become better? Or is it that part which wants to destroy me? And you remember Tzedek Cohen's Torah, today, Brother Satan does not come and tell you do something wrong. Never. Brother Satan is much too gentle to even utter the word sin. He's refined, the high consciousness. He went to an intensive weekend, right? Meditation. He says to me, I have something for you, the best thing that happened to you, the biggest mitzvah in the world. Why do we yell at each other? Brother Satan comes, listen to me. You remember you took this assertiveness training? You never did it. Now is the time. Now is the time. I know it's the wrong time. Okay, so Rav Nachman says, you have to mamish, to prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for any happening in the world. For any happening in the world. Then it says something else. If I depend, this is strong stuff. Today, again, psychology talks about it already, but I don't know how much they're doing it. Do you depend on other people confirming that you're right? Do you have any insight, or you need always someone else to tell you? Meaning to say, if someone says to you, oh, you're the greatest in the world, then you're happy. Someone comes and says, listen, you're the biggest creep in the world. So who cares? I said, thank you so much. Glad you found out. Am I standing on your feet or on my own feet? I'll tell you something. I hear crying, someone's drowning in the ocean. I'm running down to save that person. And suddenly someone comes running and says to me, you know, the person who is drowning is not religious. So I suddenly stop and I think, maybe I really should call up the Besdin first, and find out if I'm mechuyev to save a person who's not religious. Then I think more and more, oh, what's his name? He's the worst. In fact, it's a mitzvah to let him drown. And you know, Brother Satan is a big lumpen. You know, the Shem always said, you think only the tzaddikim are big lumpen? Brother Satan knows more than anybody in the world. He can quote you every Gemara, every posik to make you crazy. So you have to prepare yourself inside to have a certain clarity, So hear what it says. You know, peace is something so awesome holy. So awesome holy. You really need such strong vessels for it. You know, I tell you something. Again, I can only tell you on a personal level, right? Without getting involved in the debt. You know, I'm sure there are a lot of yeshiva bochum who walk around thinking, you know, someone's not Jewish, I don't say hello to them. If someone's not Jewish, I have no business with them. Not that they're bad, not that they hate them, but just no business with them, right? I had the utmost, deepest privilege in the world that I grew up in a house. The mamash, like my father was the rabbi of the Jews in the city. My father knew every person in the whole city. And not only my father knew every person in the city, every person in the city knew my father. It's like, wow. I did something awesome. My father saved so many lives, unbelievable. I'll give you one little example. You know, after the First World War, the communists took over in Budapest, and it was a whole little revolution. At the end of the First World War, not now, First World War. And they killed a few people. Okay, forget it. Now we're talking here about maybe 1934, 35. And the Yid comes from Israel, and suddenly the Austrian police decided that he looks exactly like this person who started the riot in Budapest. And since the Hungarian police is looking for him, and he is sentenced to death in Hungary, and Austria has a deal with Hungary, so they have to send him back to Hungary. But I'll tell you the truth. My father did not know if it's true or not. Maybe it is true, right? But in the meantime, this Yid was already, he himself admitted, he told my father privately, he said, the truth, I mean, I was a communist before. But I went there to Israel and became a Yid. Have children. My daughter's getting married in 4 weeks. It was completely broken, right? And he went to all the rabbis, and they said, we don't know you. And maybe you really did it, we don't know. My father went to the head, like the highest judge in Austria. Why was he so close to my father? Because my father was very close to Cardinal Initze. I told Dovital. Because my father was the only one who really knew the whole Bible in Latin and in Greek, almost by heart. Officially, every cardinal has to know the Bible, they don't know it. Anyway, to make it very short, my father went to the cardinal, and the cardinal and my father went to the highest judge. My father says, I want you to release this person. He said, Rabbi Cardinal, if you tell me, he'll be released in 1 hour. Gewalt, right? Imagine if my father would have listened to all the other rabbis in Vienna who told my father, what are you talking to the cardinal, the Geschäftsmaster, and go him, right? In the meantime, he saved someone's life. And imagine, to go very far, imagine that the chosen of his daughter would have found out that the father of his future Kala was killed in Hungary. He was hanged because when he was young, he was a communist and he killed some people. Maybe the shidduch would be off, right? And besides the brokenness and everything, So he says the most important thing is, It has to be absolutely not important to you what people tell you. If in a certain way you have clarity, this is what you have to do. You just have to do it. And you need, you know how deep this is? On one hand, peace is so much being close to other people. So much not having any distance between other people. And yet they have to keep a certain distance. The distance is that, Mamash, when I know this is right, I cannot listen to you. I love you, but I can't listen to you. It's heavy. See what we do? We hate people, but we always listen to them. We always let other people make us crazy. Do you know how many people are broken and lonely in this world because they listen to somebody else telling them? What do we know?
Like you said yesterday, that the shidduch was right because everyone told her not to marry.
Yeah. When was that?
So that to the Chevra in New York.
What?
About to the Chevra in New York, he said that you knew that it was a good marriage, that she had a baby now. And he said that you knew it was a good shidduch because everyone tried to talk
Yeah.
her out of it.
Sure, if it's a bad shit, if no one says anything bad, right? But how do you get this inner strength? And listen to this. This is the deepest conflict in our lives. I want to be close to people, and I have this stupid idea. Close means I have to listen to everything you say. Close means I have to depend on your approval of me. And it's the other way around. Because you know what happens when I listen to you? After that, I'm so angry at you, I don't want to know you. You know what it is? It is so easy to put everything on other people. When do I put everything on other people? When I listen to them at the wrong time. See, on one hand, I really, mamish, have to listen to people. And I also have to be so close. But inside, it doesn't make a difference. I love you. This is what it is. Where do I learn this? From the Torah. Now listen to this, it's unbelievable. Take the whole Gemara, right? Abai and Rabbi, you know, Abai used to listen, if Rabbi says I'm wrong, I must be wrong. Abai and say, I Gewalt, you know, I heard Rabbi Yochanan doesn't like what I said. I'm off. The whole Gemara would be off, right? Imagine Basil would say, you know, we just found out from the facts that the Shammai doesn't agree. It's off. I want you to know something which I'll never forget. I'm learning in the Sifta, right? And there my Rabbi Shlomo. There was one Tosis. Tosis doesn't give an answer, Kasha, right? You know when Tosis asked the question? In the 14th century, you know, in the hundreds of years, right? And they were the greatest in the world, right? I'm sure they had an answer, but not every word they said is written down, right? But Tosis just asked a question. So here comes one of the Chavah in Masifta, Test Rabbi Shlomo, and he says, I think you have it heard. It's really good, right? So while he was saying it, there were 20 people standing there, and they were, what do you mean you think? You think Tosis didn't know your stupid answer? Shlomo got very angry. He says, you know what the holiness of us hidden is? So Tosis asked the question 800 years ago, and this little boy here is the one who answers it. It's unbelievable, right? Because everybody has their share in the Torah and in the world, right? When they tell you something awesome, awesome is not the word. Here the brothers want to kill Yosef. And let's assume, and they were convinced that they're right. Because I want you to know, without getting a vav now, it was mamash from heaven, right? Because God, this was the beginning of going into exile. But anyway, it says, let's throw him in a pit. And then it says, and we'll see what happens to his dreams. So the way it's translated is, that they said it cynically, yeah, let's see what Levender's dreams. But the Zohar Kodesh says in the Gemara, or Basko, a voice from heaven says, let's see what Levender's dream, right? Then it says, Vayishma Reuben, Reuben heard it, and he wanted to save him. And it says, okay, the way we learn, simply, Reuben heard, he said, I got to get him out of the pit. You know what Zohar Kodesh says? The only person who heard this voice from heaven was Reuben. Vayishma Reuben, right? He heard a voice from heaven saying, we'll see what happens to his dreams, right? You think at the end, it's the beginning, right? He asked his brothers, did you hear something? He said, no. So he should say to himself, listen, obviously I'm dreaming. I'm crazy. I have to see my therapist. I hear voices. Where would Reuben be if he wouldn't have wanted to save Yosef? Do you know the whole prophet Hosea, who's the master Shuvi Yisrael, right? It's because he's a great grandson of Reuben who did Shuvi. Like, awesome, right? How much you don't know? You see what it is? This is so deep, it sounds so simple. On one hand, I mamish have to love people. On one hand, I have to know that there's no distance between me and other person. But you have to realize what I need for the fixing of my neshama. God is not the Yente who's telling everyone everything about me. God is telling me what I have to know for the fixing of my neshama. Sister Mimi, you had enough already? Then one more thing. Do you know something? Sometimes I have the greatest opportunities to do something for God. And I'm not doing it because I listen to people. I'm becoming a stranger to God. He says, if I mamish listen to the inside of my inside, you know what it is? Suddenly you have the deepest secrets with God. Because deepest depths, if you think God can only talk to me via another person. Although sometimes God talks to you via another person. But if you, mamish, have this insight, mamish, my heart tells me, means God tells me directly, give out, right? And then he says, you love your friends more if you have this inner strength. So you hear, friends, you cannot bring peace unless you have a little bit of an idea what you have to do in this world. And you have to stick to it. It's so easy. It's so easy to get lost, right? It is so easy to get lost. And also, it's so easy to be angry at God. Why am I angry at God? Because I don't believe that really God knows exactly what I have to do. Fixing my life. Whatever happens, that's what it is. There are thousands of stories, but one of the top stories is one of the, I'm not sure if it was Shisra or somebody else, was suddenly taken to prison It was mamish completely like, how do you say, it was like false witnesses. It was just crazy. So you should have been angry at God, right? But it was clear they must probably have to be in prison to meet somebody there. And the crazy thing is, when he came to prison, he met one Yiddish who wanted to commit suicide that night. He was given up on life. And he was there for 3 days, and Imam gave him so much strength. And then he left. And this Yiddish came out eventually, became a big chassid. So the B'shir said, I'm so proud of you that you were not angry at God when he took you to prison. That your mama shlomo most probably, there's something important I have to do there. I mean, I'm sure everybody in their own life has thousands of stories. You know, you go the wrong way, you make a wrong U-turn, you're in the wrong place, and you think, I'm in the wrong place. You're always in the right place. Always, always, always in the right place. The only thing is, if you come to the wrong place, and you sit there and you're angry at God, then you won't find out what you're doing here, right? But if someone says, hey, I'm here, let's see what I have to do. Say what, I want to make a little stop for 5 minutes, because otherwise we'll get crazy. Then we'll have a little bit more. If you still have strength.
Can
Yeah.
I say something?
How could you not? Everybody knows Mr. Miami?
This is my fourth time in Israel. My first time I came in 1970 with my father. It's just what you were just talking about that made me think of it. We were in Tel Aviv the first night, and I said, Dad, I'm going out for a walk. I was in my early 20s. He says, aren't you afraid you're going to get lost?
Yeah.
And then when you're young and ready to take chances, where's a better place to get lost?
In the land, yeah.
So here, you're never in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Recalled it to me another way. So.
Oh, that's so sweet. Father's still alive.
Fortunately.
Sorry.
But here, then if in the land, then why not also outside the land is your side? Wherever you are.
Sure, wherever you are, in Chicago or wherever you are. Holy Rebbetzin, what's going on? Oh, you're the sweetest. How are you feeling? Yeah. Is there anything to drink? I'm so dehydrated.
Like coffee, tea, or herbal, or
Can you make it very schwach coffee?
schwach coffee coming up.
A little bit. Do you have some holy milk from a poor Adoma? From a red cow?
Anybody who hasn't paid yet, if you
You're taking everything you need? At the meet together by Nachman, the second of Nachman, not his topic, it's only we put this together.
Aber es ist selber, ja.
Of Nachman is really going all
Well, once I saw the cups, but I didn't see the towels.
They've got,
I'll have to go take a
I mean, I didn't notice exactly, but I thought they had all sorts of supplies there by the door.
look in the wrong place.
Yeah, by the, all the way up to
There was a wall spot.
I'm going to start before I have the illustration.
About 22.
20 to 2, we have to leave on the dot.
O'clock there.
Have to be a few minutes before 2.
What do you have to do?
Have to meet Hadassah from the Moshav from
Half an
Stockton. Half hour the
Because
most.
you have to be at 3 o'clock.
And my kids are coming on, so yeah.
But we're leaving at 2:30 from you.
Yeah, you're good. Okay, brothers and sisters, let there be peace. Okay, I'm learning a little bit simcha because you got to change from peace to simcha, otherwise we'll be stuck there forever. Tell me what's going on there. I'm showing you what. Okay, I'm just learning whatever my eyes are finding. Okay, he says, Rabbi Nachman says, if a person is far from Yiddishkeit and far from God, and then suddenly he wants to become a little more of a Yid, more of a mensch, the first thing he has to be so careful not to be sad. Because the closer you get to God, the more God can't stand your sadness. You know, imagine someone comes to visit me and he's sitting in the lobby, he's cracking away. Okay, I don't care. I mean, I wish he wouldn't, but he does. I'm taking him to the dining room, he's cracking. Okay, son. But imagine I say, okay, I want to show you my bedroom. Listen, if you start cracking, I don't have strength for this. So he says, the closer you get to God, the more you are offending God with your sadness. Because basically, what does sad mean? I'm so sad that it's this way and it's not the other way. That means I really believe the other way is better, right? So again, it smells with paganism. A little bit. Deeper steps. Means I don't really believe that God knows what He's doing. And also something else. There's a passage that says, Ois v'chedva b'mkama. There is strength and there is joy in His place. It means wherever God is, v'chaim, v'chaim. You know what I mean to say? Let's put it this way. If you are sad during the week, okay, on Shabbos you're closer to God. If you're sad on Shabbos, it's a big avera. You see, when you eat ham, it's the same if you eat it on Shabbos or on Friday. But when it comes to sadness, Shabbos is a big avera. Because Shabbos... So if you're planning to be sad, try to knock it off on Friday. And again, this is very important to know. We're not talking here about fake joy. Imagine I'm mamish sad inside. I'm sad. Rabbi Nachman doesn't say that you should stop being sad inside. If you want to cry, you cry. But remember this, the most important term Rabbi Nachman says. Where does it say that while you are sad, you can't be happy? And here's the deepest Torah in the world. In this world, in the world of 4 walls of inches, and 1 is 1 and 2 is 2, you're sad or you're happy. On a heavenly level, on a non-boundary level, I'm sad because something happened to me, but I'm filled with joy. Then Rabbi Yitzchak Wuditchra woke up one morning, and he was dancing like crazy. He couldn't stop dancing. So he didn't come to shul, so Chassidim came looking for him. Coming to his room, the Heilige Rabbi Yitzchak came out. The first real hippie in the world, right? The first really dropout, dancing like crazy. Asked him what happened. He says, this morning when I woke up, I was so sad, I was so broken, didn't know what to do with myself. But then suddenly I realized, Gewalt, I'm a Jew. So who cares for all the sadness? I'm so glad I'm a Jew. See, that means, it doesn't mean he stopped being sad or what he had a reason to be sad.
Can I just say something, Shlomo?
How could you not?
I've always said for years and years and years that the Celts, and the Irish in particular,
Did what?
the Celts, and the Irish in particular, are very close to my friend. It comes in their music. Every time they have a sad song, down in the minor key, but the beat is high. All the way around, they're always sad and happy together.
It's a good
They
toilet.
know something very, very. They've got a touch of something there.
Yeah.
Got a touch of something.
An Irishman once told me, we are the only country in the world to never burn Jews, because we never let them in. They're cute people, yeah. Do you know that my cousin, he was a chief rabbi in not Dublin, in Belfast. Yeah. I was there twice, he invited, he was a good friend to me. And each time I was there, I was maybe 3 or 4 times a day on television. It was better than any other place. I think it was so sweet when all about Yidden, about Mama's sweet. Yeah. Okay, now comes why is it so important to be happy? I don't want to be happy. In fact, I don't like it. I can't stand it. Emunah, you're going? You have to go. Okay, I love you. See you tonight. So Rav Nachman says, this is not much important to know. All the sicknesses in the world. Yeah, rehearsing, brother. Time. Oh yeah. You hear, friends? All the sicknesses in the world are coming from sadness. Okay, today, B'Shem, the world already knows it. Yeah, I'm learning Lamed Ches and Lamed Ches. Just fooling around a little bit. 186 on Simcha. This is still from Nachman himself. You hear, friends? All the sicknesses in the world are coming from sadness. You know, like, for instance, I don't want to say anything because what do we know, right? Today, the world knows that most sickness is coming from stress, from sadness, from not being satisfied, from being empty. All those heavy things. He says, I don't care if you're happy because of something stupid. You know, Rav Nachman says you shouldn't tell real coarse jokes, dirty jokes. But if someone is sad, you have no other way of making them laugh by telling them the dirtiest jokes. Don't stop, you know? Because to make somebody happy is such a big mitzvah, right? It's like bringing you back to life. But then listen to this. But to have the privilege of being really happy, that's the hardest thing in the world. Don't kid yourself. Don't think you put on a cute little smile and your head's in front of the mirror and then you're happy. It's a special privilege to be happy. And you know, it is so awesome. It takes a great privilege to be an Elachayid, to put on film, to put on the talis. But it still does not compare to the privilege of having the awesome privilege to be filled with joy. It says you mamash have to earn it. And he says you have to force yourself. You have to work on it. And at some point you should put in your whole energy. But he says the most important thing, when you pray, you mamash have to be happy because again, God cannot stand sadness. You know, wherever God is filled with joy. And the more joy is, the more God is there. And the more it's sad, God is not there. You know, you walk into shul sometimes, I had to say bad things, you know. I was at a bar mitzvah, a very great rabbi. I took with me Mike Weber, you know. Start mentioning names. No, he's cute. So after the bar mitzvah, he was driving me. I said, Mike, how did you like it? He says, yeah, there was no simcha. The bar mitzvah was sad, the father was sad, the mother was sad. Baruch Hashem, he was sad, he was also sad. This was just a little bit sad, but enough to fit into the company. Where's simcha, right? I think I told you once, I played at a very rich man's 25th anniversary in Buenos Aires. It's my favorite quotation. And I sit at the table, eat something, and there are two little kids of 6. And most of them, they all talk Yiddish there. So one little girl says to the other, you know something? She says, at Bob's funeral, there was more simcha. He says, whatever you do, you have to do it with simcha. But then Chas v'Shalom is heavy, he says. When you are so sad that you're going on God's nerves, then so to speak, they take your name out from the phone book. Chas v'Shalom. Means they can't talk to you. Chas v'Shalom. And here I want you to know something awesome. Everybody knows that God can only speak to you when you're filled with joy. Otherwise, you have no vessels. You know, here Avraham Avinu is holding the knife to kill Yitzchak, right? And there's a voice from heaven saying, don't kill him, right? You know what all the Rebbe say? Imagine Avraham Avinu would have been sad at that moment. He would have never heard the Malach telling him, don't kill him. Chas v'Shalom, right? Be the end of all of Israel. And you know how deep this is, that sometimes, at the saddest moment of our life, if you would have been happy at that moment, we would have heard a voice from heaven telling us what to do. Well, you know something awesome. You know, in Germany, do you know the sadness, not only the catastrophe, the killing, what the Germans did, they brought so much sadness into the world. There was never a generation, besides all the killing, sadness, right? And well, you know something awesome. I'm in Heidelberg, it's a long story, and I'm walking on the street. And there, you know, Yid with the beard and face, tzitzis, is not the ordinary thing. So I noticed someone who was driving in the bike, and he tries to keep in line with me. So I stop, I say, you know, German, mein lieber Freund, wie geht's Ihnen? You know, to break the ice. He wants to talk to me. He says, I need to talk to one person. For years I have this urge, I have to talk to somebody. So please give me 2 minutes. He says, I want you to know that my next door neighbor during the Second World War was a Jew. He had, I would say, 6, 7 children. He says, I was a big man in the SS, but secretly I was the head of the Communist Party of this whole neighborhood here. So I was like, what's going on? He says, I got word that the Jew and his children will be shipped to Auschwitz 2 o'clock that night. And although I really endangered my life because someone sees me going into the Jew at the end, I walked into his house 10 o'clock at night. He said, don't ask any questions. Don't take anything with you. Take your wife, your children, and run. He says, no, he says, I know you mean well, but in German there's a word, it's never as hot as you think it should be while you're cooking. He says, and it hurts me so much. I wanted to save this whole family and they didn't listen to me. So I wanted to tell you, because you're a Jew, I want you to know that here's a guy who wanted to save 7 souls, Sweet, And I thought to myself, why did this happen? You know why? Because there was so much sadness in the world. They couldn't move. Because in order to move, you have to be the simcha, right? The more you're sad, the more you're dead. I mean, can you imagine? Someone says to you, there is a possibility that you and your children will be killed tonight. Aren't you picking up and run? And he knew that he's an SS and a communist. He has inside information, right? But the sadness was so heavy. Couldn't move. So he says, Reb Nachman says, okay, one more very important thing. This is the most. Did we ever learn about Simcha? No, not so much, a little bit. Everything, even physically, has a headquarters, right? Chewing is my teeth. Snoring, I don't know where. My nose. Thinking, my brains. Where is the headquarters for joy? The headquarters for joy is not in your head. A lot of people, I saw this thing, I really should lose weight, but I saw someone on television says, I love exercising. I must have watched it for 4 hours every day, You know what that means? He loves it in his head, but doesn't do anything. The same thing with simcha. I can have simcha in my head. I love people. I love watching people who are besimcha. Or what's about you? Rabbi Nachman says that the headquarters for simcha is in your heart. Because it says, the Yisrael lev simcha. So how come we are not the simcha? Because we have a perverted heart. People always think you have a perverted mind. This is only half the trouble. The real trouble begins when your heart is crooked. When your heart is straight. If I would keep my heart the way God gave it to me, it would be full of joy. So everybody knows. The Gemara says that thunder was only given to straighten out your heart. So Rabbi Nachman says, this is a real Rabbi Nachman Torah. What is thunder? Thunder is if I daven with all my strength. Yelling loud, go up, right? That means I can produce a gewalt thunder, and this thunder straightens out my heart. But he says, in order for the thunder to be good, I have to empty myself from everything else. Yeah. Okay, here I'm sad, right? What should I do? He says, if I would take 2 minutes and just remember how much sweetness and goodness happened to me in my life, for which I really never thanked God properly. So right now is the best time. Remember, Sammy, you want to tell us about Rabbi Rimenova? About the balcony? No. The porch? You know it? Yeah. So let's hear it. Maybe you didn't say anything today yet.
I don't remember nothing to do.
What? Okay, the story is that Mamash and Gewalt story. Chsinu on the way to Rabbi Melech, push lepers, walking, passed by a broken house, a broken porch. There's a little boy of 9 standing there dancing all by himself. So they asked him, why are you dancing? He said, I'm dancing because I haven't eaten in 3 days. You haven't eaten in 3 days, that's why you're dancing? He says, I'll tell you, I have not eaten in 3 days. So they asked him, so that's why you're dancing? He says, I have not eaten in 3 days. I was really getting angry at God. I was saying to God, I'm 9 years old. How much sinning did I do to deserve not to eat for 3 days? But then I was thinking, it's true I haven't eaten in 3 days, but I have a father and I have a mother. And everything I have, a house, broken, they have a house. I decided, Mamash, to thank God first. So I began dancing. So Chassidim saw Gewalt, seine Neshama, right? So they asked him, are you learning something? He says, my parents are too poor to send me to school. According to one version, that took him with them, they brought him Rabbi Melech, and he really became the biggest Rebbe at that time. Mendel Rimenova.
What's the other version?
What?
What's the other version?
They just took him to yeshiva, it doesn't say Rabbi Melech. Let's say one more thing, then we go. Falling asleep. This is the most important thing. What do you do when you're sad? He said that you have to turn over the sadness into joy. You turn over a plate, right? Take Mamash's sadness itself. Okay, let's say I am sad. Let's assume, right? I assume, let's say I love this girl very much, and she let me down, right? I'm very sad. Think to myself, Gewalt. But there must be someone that at least she started with me, right? Well, I could have been so ugly that she doesn't even look at me. And you mean to say I have it in me that this beautiful girl should look at me? Wow, it's Gewalt, right? So maybe I'll forget her and start I was Elizabeth Taylor, You see, everything wrong which is happening, you turn over and think, Gewalt, this is Gewalt. Gives me strength for next time. So whatever you do, you turn over and you say, Gewalt. It was so good for me, this experience, right? So Ram Nachman says, the real joy is not when you're happy. The real joy, the real simcha is, it says, you take your sadness and start dancing with it. This is Gewalt.
Doesn't that come up as when you come to the mechila, like the forgiving, and like letting go?
Maybe you are saying Torah from Ramel Pramshlana. Ramel Pramshlana says, Halu b'soif v'mochel. Thank God, because the end will be v'mochel, that He'll forgive us. Soif means drums, v'mochel means dance. When you say Aman v'mochel, yeah. Maybe a Rebbe. It's so real. Is there anything more charismatic than joy? Is there anything more drawing than joy? And isn't it Is there anything more in the world that you just really don't want to have anything to do with this person who walks around crying, krächzing, all that? You have compassion, but you really don't want to have anything to do with that person. You think, oh, please stop crying away because you don't understand anymore. Folks, good Shabbos, good Yontif. Thank you for bearing with me.
Will we get any makarot for
What?
tomorrow?
I'm sorry.
You want to give any makarot for tomorrow first?
I'll tell you what, let's still, Simchi, no, I'll tell you what, let's learn here.
Do you want us to finish up Shalom?
Let's learn, again, I don't want to just one subject. Tomorrow, I don't mind anything. Shalom. I would say, Ike Chusha Shmir. This is a very deep thing. You know what? Just those 2 pages, Pei Hey and 170. And
Okay, Pei Hey and 170, just these 2.
yeah. What? And
Any particular ones on that page, or just, I mean, the ones that you would...
let's also learn page Ein Ches. Chutznik Yusuf, wanting it.
Ein Ches.
Chutznik Yusuf.
Which one?
Whatever. Whatever you see good.
Whatever I see.
Or make it 156.
So what's that page right there? No, yes, what do you?
No, it's,
Ein Chesed.
yeah,
156.
it'll be enough.
Okay.
Good. No Shabbat. Thank you. Imam Shechava bless me. I should sleep tonight.